Welcome to Lopal's YouTube channel. Please subscribe YouTube Lopal's channel. Today, let us discuss about the rule of law under administrative law subject. So first of all, we should know what is rule of law according to Dicey. The rule of law broadly classified as no one is above the law, not even the government. Law must be applied equally and fairly. Legal processes must be transparent and just. So these are the three important factors which are observed under the rule of law. Then what is its main benefit rather? It ensures a system of governance where laws govern the nation, not arbitrary decisions by individual and government officials. So first of all, this rule of law established by the great jurist, we say the Dicey rather. So what are the principles outlined by Dicey? And he explains the rule of law under these three key principles of rule of law. So the first one is supremacy of law, and second one is equality before law, and then the thirdly is the constitution is the result of the ordinary law. So first let us discuss what is the supreme of law is according to Dicey. The Dicey says can only be punished for breach of law, not for arbitrary and discretionary actions. The government actions must be based on established legislature or whoever may be. So this follows the first principle of Dicey is that due process of law is very important and significant. That is the first the principle. And secondly, equality before law. So this is also very important. It relates to the first principles almost. And the law applies equally to all, regardless of the status, position, or wealth, whatever it is. No special courts for government officials or privileged persons. For example, the implication the government officials can be sued and tried in ordinary courts just like the private citizens. So, for example, in the United Kingdom, the ministers and even the prime minister are subjected to the judicial scrutiny and cannot claim the immunity for ordinary courts. That means to say everybody is equal before the court of law and everybody is equal before in the eye of law. That is the second principle of Dicey. And thirdly, rather, the constitution is the supreme or the constitution is the result of the ordinary law. This is rather very important in the under the administrative law. The UK has no single written constitution as such. Instead of its constitutional principles emerge from judicial decisions and legal precedents rather. The courts play a crucial role in shaping and interpreting the constitutional norm. For example, the implication of this law is the protection of individual rights is not guaranteed by a single constitutional document but through the common law, the judicial interpretations and precedent rather. So these are the three important principles laid by the Dicey to say about to define about the rule of law. And at the same time, what are all the criticisms and limitations with regard to this Dicey principles? It follows like this: the idealism and reality. The many jurists criticizes about the principles of Dicey of rule of law. They criticize that the Dicey has only considered the ideal version of rule of law, and he did not fully match the realities of governance. Rather, over the time, Indian courts adopted these doctrines of the rule of law as such. And also, there is a criticism on Dicey rule of law that the administrative tribunals and special courts were totally neglected by the Dicey as such. But in modern days, the tribunal, the administrative courts, the tribunal, special courts as such plays a very important role in the modern governance of the law as such. And the modern interpretation of rule of law, that is also very important under the topic, the rule of law. The protection of fundamental rights, the judicial review of executive and legislative actions, separation of powers among legislature, executive and judiciary, access to justice and legal aid for underprivileged. In India, the Article 14 plays a very important role, that is equality before law, and judicial activism have upheld the rule of law as a basic feature of the constitution. Of course, the Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India, the case stresses about the Article 14 and the Supreme Court, the order or the judgment emphasizes and stresses that before the actions of the administrative authorities, the due process of law have to be followed and strictly followed as such. And coming to the subject, the rule of law and its conclusions, rather, the Dicey interpretation of rule of law laid as a vital foundation for legal and political theory. While it reflects the 19th century British constitutional practice, it continues to influence the legal system worldwide. However, in modern context, the rule of law has evolved to encompass broader human rights, protections, institutional accountability, and constitutional supremacy. The essence remain the same: law must govern and not arbitrary.